Alright guys, being the N-Line, this comes with a 1.6 litre turbo engine with a DCT transmission. We will go through the engine specs a bit later with the models later in the video, so just stay tuned and you'll see that. But getting straight into it guys, this lava orange I30, it definitely stands out, pops out really nice. It's a really nice colour, and it does actually remind me somewhat of the actual Mazda red. Very distinctive, and it really pops out when you're looking at it. Looking at the front here guys, we've got the LED lights. So I've got a nice LED lights that are also automated with automated rain sensing wipers, and you've got a nice white LED strip over here just with your daytime lights paired up there. You've got a nice, in my opinion, slightly oversized grille, and big Hyundai badge with the black inside. Got a nice little lip here to accent the N-Line. There's quite a few little differences with having the N-Line with the styles. The wheels, the steering wheel, and even the gear shifter, which I'll be going through with you guys shortly as well. We'll get into that. But it does distinctify the front end here. It does make it look a bit more aggressive in my opinion, definitely. But coming through guys, we'll show you the wheels as well. So you've got the 18-inch alloys in this car. Nice shadow chrome look here. You know, it definitely does the job. And also, if you do come around here, the cameraman, also, we do actually have working air vents. A lot of people there's a lot of controversy between working air vents and fake air vents in the modern car industry and how they've been styling our cars, but it actually does have a functional air vent right over here, and it goes right to the wheels, if you actually can show that there. Now moving on, you've also got blacked out side mirrors over here with a nice LED light here. The side profile of the vehicle, you'll notice the main distinctifying factor here to show that it's an N-Line. You've also got an N-Line badge over here. Privacy glass is not on this car actually. No privacy glass guys, so you'd have to tint the whole vehicle. And just coming around the back, you've got a nice black little spoiler on the rear. And you've got a very nice rear. Dual exhaust tips and a nice little tiny diffuser over there. There's no N-Line badges at the back, but I guess you'll be able to tell just by looking at the bumper style here and the dual exhausts. Alright guys, here we are at the rear of the car. Now the car definitely has a very modern appeal to it. It is definitely a bit more refreshing than some of the hatchbacks we've been seeing that look almost generic. This car kind of stands out in its own way, and it does really look sporty. That's something I'd be surprised to, because even back in the day I never thought about Hyundai being sporty, but they're really going hard with these N-Lines, and they're going really hard with this performance actually sector, and I think they're doing everything right, to be honest, in regards to styling. And even some of the performance guys that you will be able to see on these cars, they do very well. But I've definitely liked that they've strayed away from the lunchbox style styling of these cars and the square looks that some of these hatchbacks have. So I will give it points where it's due, and I do definitely appreciate that. All right guys, now let's have a look at the boot space in the car. Now it does have a lot of space here. Surprisingly, it's very deep as well. Guys can have a look. It's actually very deep. A lot of hatchbacks nowadays stop a bit higher here. I think that's also has something to do with probably having a space saver there, as you see. But very rare that you'll see a full-size spare wheel in a hatchback nowadays, especially in these modern cars, so you can't really think too much of it there. You've got 3 anchor points for the baby seats, as you can see there. And let me just fold the seats down so you guys can see how much room you'll have if you fold the seats down. Now, they do fold 40-60. I just have to go back around. Well, there you go. You can see the depth there. And of course, this is removable and will give you that extra depth over here. So if you do have something, maybe a small little fridge or something that you might need an extra space there, that you can fit in there too. All right guys, let's hop in. Now, the first thing you'll notice when you hop in is this car does come with the N-Line seats, and they're full leather with a perforated trim. It hugs you pretty nicely. Obviously, I'm not too much of a big guy, but I do sit in this seat really well. Holds me in place, and I do like the red stitching and the red trim that you do get with the N-Line as well. Now, something to note, guys, it is a manual adjustment. So if you do want to go for the automatic or electric seats, that you will have to go for the N-Line Premium, and that will also give you the panoramic sunroof and a larger display for their multimedia system. So this is an 8-inch, I believe the bigger ones are a 10.25-inch display. It does definitely make a bit of a difference with the interior, but Right now guys, I'm going to show you through it, but the interior of this car is very impressive so far. Alright guys, here we are inside the car. I wanted to quickly show you the animation of the digital cluster. As you can see there. Now this being the N-line has got the nice little red stitching, red trims around here. Red stitching on the seats, and you do have a nice N-line gear shifter too. So it's got the N-line badge there and a nice red finish, as well as the steering wheel. You can see just over here, and you've got the stitching all around. Keyless entry is standard in these models. Now, quick note with the I30s, the keyless entry goes for starts from the Elite model upwards. The Elite being the top of the range in the 2-litre naturally aspirated versions. You've got the 8-inch display in this model as well. If you did want to go for the larger display, you'd have to go for the 10.25 inch in the higher models too. Looking at the steering wheel, it is pretty sporty. I like the paddle shifters, how they actually protrude on both sides rather than just, you know, those little things that you get sometimes. You can see the minus, you can see the plus. When you hold it, it actually does feel very firm. Got your standard buttons, voice control, answer decline, and over here for your cruise control and for your steering adjustments and steering assistance there. Adaptive cruise control is something to note on this car, with the auto headlights as well. I do like the actual interior display here. This definitely gives you a nice look. Alright guys, let's go have a look at the back space. Now the space in the back, I will have to say for a hatchback, it's pretty decent, considering that 2 average people will sit here comfortably. 3 I think is probably pushing the limit. Like, you wouldn't want to go for too much of a long trip with 3 people. Headspace is decent, but I will have to see, like, considering that this is not the one with the panoramic sunroof, I don't know if that's going to affect a bit of the headspace, so that's something you might want to consider. But let's have a look at this, guys. Let's imagine a tall person was driving this car. Let's put the seat all the way back and let's see how much back space we have as well. So, assuming someone's tall, which you do get, tall people do obviously buy cars. I don't know if you can see, but it almost has no leg room there. I'm gonna just try and fit just for the sake of it. Yeah guys, like, that's not comfortable in any way, but and keep in mind the actual positioning of where the seats that actually recline is not that heavy either. But yeah guys, for a hatchback, I don't think you can complain too much. Something to note as well, you do have dedicated air vents at the back here. And I mentioned before, it does have the red kind of surrounding for the N-line there over there as well. But yeah, that's the back of the car. You got your standard armrest here. And let's see if it has the cup holders. Yep, 2 cup holders here. And another 2 on the doors. So ample cup holders. And yeah. Alright guys, now I just put my jacket on and my hat. It's getting a bit windy here and a bit cold. The weather here is too unpredictable. But let's go through the engine here. Come through. Now powering this beast here is a 1.6 litre turbocharged motor producing 150 kilowatts at the front wheels. If you do go for the naturally aspirated 2-litre models, they do come with 120 kilowatt, once again front wheel drive. And if you do go ahead and go for the N Performance, that comes with a 206 kilowatt motor. Now keep in mind, you can now actually get a DCT transmission in the N Performance, so you never used to be able to do that back in the older models. And if you do go for an N-Line Premium as well, keep in mind that you can only get that in DCT, it doesn't come in manual. Now I'll come through guys, let's have a look at the engine bay here. Okay guys, this is the engine bay. Pretty straightforward. It looks like any other engine bay with a modern day car. It is laid out pretty well, and they have basically made use of pretty much all the space. There's not much room wasted here. Keeping in mind this is a front wheel drive car, so most components will be here on the front end. Everything's laid out pretty simply. You've got your engine oil, washer fluid, and the reservoir here, and you've got your power steering fluid there too. But yeah, everything else pretty straightforward in the engine here. I like how it's fitted. And I can't speak because I'm no mechanic, but I imagine it's probably easy to work on as well. Alright guys, I think the next thing to do is take this car for a spin. Let's do it. Alright guys, we're about to take it for a spin, and one thing to quickly note is the animations on this display and also the driving modes. So there's 3 driving modes. There's a button right here near the gear shifter. If you see the dash at the moment, when you cycle through them, you got an awesome different animation on each of them. So I've got sports, normal, eco, and you can see every time I change between the modes, it gives you an awesome animation over there. So that's one thing that actually caught my eye, one thing that impressed me. Little things count for me. So let's get into it. All right, now we're just around here, a little industrial area. Not going to do anything too crazy in this car, but we'll get a good feel. So right now we're in normal mode. I'm going to put it into sports. Now one thing to note is when you do put your foot down in this car, what I've noticed is the steering feels a bit stiffer. Bit of engine sound, but nothing tremendously loud. And keep in mind guys, this is a front wheel drive car, so obviously there, got a bit of torque steer, going a bit hard around the corner. Just approaching the roundabout, so just going to also test out the turning circle in this car. The steering does feel very stiff in this, I have to admit. Like, it's giving me a bit of a workout. Anyone knows how I like it. I do like stiff steering, so that actually is something for a positive, especially in a performance car.
In the sport mode.
And now if I put it into normal, the steering does feel a bit lighter actually. Yeah, it does feel a lot lighter in the normal mode. Well, that's pretty cool. So it actually has different steering functions when you actually do put it in different modes. Now let's just drive it back into normal mode. I'm just driving it around sensibly. Pretty smooth. Visibility in the car's very good actually. Big side mirrors, little A-pillars on the side corners giving you a bit more visibility. Blind spot a bit here where I'm pointing, where the front A-pillar is. Would have appreciated a bit more visibility there, but overall I can't complain too much. Alright guys, that's a quick test drive. I'll just stop it there. Alright, now that's a wrap for the I30 video guys. Very happy to present this car to you. I was excited, and I did want to emphasize that this car is actually one of the best selling cars in Australia at the moment. It's actually in the top 10 in sales, and I can see why. This car actually screams value for money. And that's not me being biased. To be honest, if anything, I haven't been a Hyundai fan my whole life, but I definitely love the just the path that they're choosing and how they're going with everything, and I do believe that they're actually going the right way. I love the new designs. I love what they're doing. They're not shy to innovate. They're not shy to do something different, and I think a lot of car brands are actually seeing that, and where other ones are lacking, these guys are taking advantage. And value for money, you know guys, these cars start from mid-20s, they go up to mid-40s, and you also can get them in a manual, which is a big thing. Like, nowadays you can't get manual cars, it's almost impossible. I know Subarus have discontinued all their manuals unless you go for a WRX or a BRZ, for example. For a hatchback and for the price range, guys, like it's almost it's going to be obsolete soon, getting a manual. So I think that's one thing to go through it as well when you're deciding on these cars. And even something as small as these little red seat belts, something that I do really appreciate. But overall guys, I think it's a great car. And just wanted to say thanks for watching, and I appreciate all you guys. Any likes, subscriptions will be greatly appreciated, and we'll be replying to any comments as I always do. So till next time guys, peace.